students, and welcome back to a new televised lesson for the fourth formers with me, Yamina Gatri. Today, I will be presenting lessons 3 and 4, Virtual Schools and Online Learning of Unit 2, Education Matters, which were prepared in collaboration with Mrs. Lama Atwi, English Language Inspector. So first, let me give you an idea about the objectives of our session. We will consolidate vocabulary and grammar points from lessons 3 and 4 mainly, identify useful strategies to deal with some types of language tasks, and study the steps of the writing process. So, here is the plan of our session. I will provide you with some language general recommendations. Then, you will be assigned 2 language tasks that you are familiar with in your exams, multiple choice and tense form, and then we will finish with the writing. Are you ready? So let's start. Whenever you have a language task to deal with, I advise you to read the paragraphs a few times in order to have a good idea about the topic and the context. You should also analyze the structure of the sentences and the word forms. Along with the structures, you ought to pay attention to the meaning of the sentences and the words. And if you are not sure, leave the gap blank and get back to it later. Of course, don't forget to pay attention to the different clues. I mean the time expressions, the sequence in words, and the linkers. And once you are done with the task, reread the paragraph to check your answers and to make sure everything makes sense. So let's start with the first task. And I would like you to take into consideration the different language recommendations that we have talked about right now. So have some time to circle the most suitable alternative, and then we'll be back to correct. Now, I'm sure you have done it right. Let's check together. Why do so many students prefer online education? With millions practicing socially, after the parentheses, we have the noun form learning. So before the noun, we need an adjective to describe it. As we have an adverb before the parentheses, we are going to use a compound adjective. So, socially distanced learning. Many are discovering compelling arguments for joining a cyber classroom. Students can take a course anytime from anywhere. Working students can. Can is a modal expressing ability or possibility, and you know that it must be followed by a base form. But in the parentheses, we have 3 base forms. Here I should check the meaning. Apply classes, it's meaningless. Assist classes, assist means help, so it's meaningless as well. So we try attend. Students can attend classes, and it makes sense, so it's the right answer. Course material is 24 hours a day. We need to describe the course material using an adjective. So course material is accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In online learning, students have the ability to reread lectures and discussions. They often miss spoken materials in the F2F class due to a number of distractions. What do you notice between the 2 sentences? There is a contrast. So we need a linker that expresses contrast, and the only one in the parentheses is whereas. In online environment, attendance is only evident if the student participates in the discussion. This increases student interaction as everyone gets a say, not just the before the parentheses and talkative, which is a long adjective. So this reminds me of the superlative form the plus most plus long adjective. So here is a reminder of the superlative form. The plus short adjective plus est, the plus most or least plus long adjective, and the irregular superlatives for much and many, the most, little, the least, good, the best, bad, the worst, far, the furthest, or the farthest. Let's continue. Using the internet to join a class, look for information. Join, look, two base forms. And after that, we have the conjunction and. So we complete with the same form, which is a base form to obtain a parallel structure. So communicate with the other participants equips the students with ICT skills that are critical to all workers in the 21st century. Participating online is intimidating, which is a long adjective, followed by then. You know that when we have the word then, we need to use the comparative form. So, less or more plus long adjective. So here we have the word less in the parentheses. Again, a reminder of the comparative form. Short adjective plus er, more or less plus long adjective. And when we have a two-syllable adjective ending in y, we turn the y into an I and we add the er. We do have irregular comparatives as well. So for much and many, more, for little, less, for good, better, for bad, worse, for far, further, or farther. The online environment makes the instructors more approachable. Students can talk with their teachers through online chats. Here we need to express the way or the manner students talk to their teachers. So we need an adverb form, and we get it by adding ly to the adjective. So, can talk openly with their teachers through online chats. Besides, online classrooms facilitate team learning by providing chat rooms and news groups for joint work with peers. Okay? So, we have all the answers here. And you must have noticed that the paragraph is about the advantages or the benefits of online learning. So let's go through them together. It is convenient for students with disabilities. They can study anywhere, anytime. It is time-saving, and there is no consumption of energy, as there are no school journeys and no heavy bags. Ability to contact teachers and post questions in the discussion boards. Courses accessible on the platform after class time. There is no bullying. And it is helpful for shy students. So here are the advantages, but they are not in the right order. We will go back to them. So let's continue now and move on to the second language task. So here you are required to put the bracketed words in the right tense or form. So have some time to do it, and then we'll be back to correct. I'm sure you were able to find all the answers as you are familiar with this task in your exams. So let's check together. Virtual learning might be keeping Ruby 14 and her family safer during the public health crisis. But, which is a linker of contrast here, it has made it harder for her to stay motivated and to learn. Her online classes are lecture heavy. Lecture heavy is an adjective. After the blank, we have and another adjective which is devoid. So it's clear that we need a parallel structure. We are going to continue with the same form. So her online classes are lecture heavy, repetitive, and devoid of student conversation. Her grades, recently, and verb drop. So the action is recent. For this, we need to use the present perfect tense, has, have, plus past participle, and this is one of its uses, by the way. The subject of the sentence is grades, so we are going to use have dropped from A's and B's to D's and F's. She stays up too late, she sleeps too much. She, verb do, and after the blank we have verb miss, her friends a lot. To insist on the fact that Ruby misses her friends a lot, we need the emphatic form do, does, plus base form to emphasize or to stress the action. So she does miss her friends a lot. Like millions of students attending school, we have the adjective virtual, and we need to express the way, the manner they attend school. So we need the adverb form, and we get it, as we said earlier, by adding ly to the adverb. So we write the adjective virtual and we add the ly, so virtually this year. Ruby is struggling academically, socially, and emotionally. You notice that we have an enumeration of other adverbs in the same sentence. And as the pandemic is moving towards a winter surge or increase, new reports show alarming numbers of kids falling behind, failing classes. Falling, ing, failing, ing, and then we have the conjunction or. So we are going to continue with the same form to obtain a parallel structure. So, or showing up at all. It's becoming increasingly clear that districts and states have to, when it is followed by base form, it expresses obligation. So, have to improve remote instruction and find a way to give individual kids special help online. At the moment, plans to let students. Let is one of the three causative verbs. Let, have, make someone do something. So, let is followed by a base form. To let students catch up, largely evolving, thin or unavailable. The consequences are most dire for low-income and minority children who are less likely to have appropriate technology compared with their peers who are wealthy. Wealthy, and then after the blank we have than. Again, we need the comparative form. So, we turn the y into an I and we add er, who are wealthier than them. Children with disabilities in particular have struggled in the absence of in-class instruction. Great. Now we have all the answers. And you must have noticed that differently from the previous task, this paragraph is about the drawbacks of online learning. So let's go through them again. Isolation, no opportunity to learn essential social skills like real communication, handling the bustle in the school courtyard, physical inactivity plus health issues, for example, backaches and damaged eyesight, and the online distraction, leading to reduced concentration. So now we are ready, I guess, to write about this topic. So due to the school closures, Samia or Sami has been attending classes online for some time now. She or he had the following conversation with her or his friend Mehdi. So I invite you to read the conversation and then we'll talk about it. So, you must have noticed that Mehdi doesn't feel comfortable learning online. Samia or Sami decides to publish a 12-line post in the general discussion forum of her or his school's e-learning platform. She or he explains in it that this type of learning is beneficial. She or he also gives some advice to those who, like Mehdi, don't feel comfortable with it. So your task is to write the post. But before that, you have to pay attention to some basic aspects. First of all, you have to read the topic carefully in order to understand it. Then underline the keywords and identify the gaps, that is the genre, the audience, the purpose, and the style. So let's do that together. Now the genre is a post, and the audience, schoolmates and teachers. So the style is going to be neither too formal nor too informal. And the purpose is to explain that online learning is beneficial and to give advice. Before we start writing, let's see the different steps of the writing process. So here are the steps, and they are scrambled. You are going to take some time to reorder them, then we will continue. Okay, let's check together. Step 1 is brainstorming. In other words, generating ideas, making notes, and listing. Step 2, organizing these ideas. You can organize them in the form of a table, a mind map, a chart, or a Venn diagram, depending on the topic, of course. So, you can see here the different ways you can organize your ideas. And you can also organize them from the least important to the most important, or vice versa. Or from the general to the specific, or vice versa. Step 3 now, writing a first draft. We mean by that, developing the notes into full sentences and connecting the sentences to get cohesive and coherent paragraphs. Step 4 is revising. That is making the necessary changes to improve the paragraphs. You can add any detail that you think are important, or rearrange the order of sentences, ideas, and so on. Remove unnecessary details or sentences. Replace any ideas that you don't find coherent, and replace the weak words with better ones. For example, instead of saying very important, you can say crucial. The last step in the writing process is editing, and we mean by that proofreading the piece of writing to correct any mistakes, which can be grammatical, word choice, word order, wrong linker, spelling, capitalization, or punctuation. Remember, it's always helpful to ask other people to proofread your piece of writing before you edit and finalize it. Now here are the different steps in the correct order. Again, step 1, brainstorming. Step 2, organizing ideas. Step 3, writing a first draft. Step 4, revising. And the final step is editing. Once you have covered all the steps, your post is ready to be published. Now, for every piece of writing, you need, of course, an outline. So, you can start with an introduction in which you set the context of the post and you announce the different parts. And then, for this case, in the body, you are going to, first of all, present the arguments supporting the opinion that online learning is beneficial, and you give examples. And the second part of the body will be devoted to giving pieces of advice to the schoolmates who are not comfortable taking online courses. When you finish with the body, of course, you're going to move to the conclusion in which you wrap up or you sum up the post, restating your opinion using different words. Now, we talked earlier about the different benefits or assets of online learning, but they were in disorder. Now, here is one possible way of rearranging them from the general to the specific. So we are left with the tips or the pieces of advice we can give to the classmates who do not feel comfortable learning online. So here are possible ones. Reaching out to the teachers when needing help. Contributing to the online discussions to avoid feeling lonely. Having screen-free time every day. Doing some stretches and quick exercises during the breaks. Remember, to give advice, you can use you should, ought to, had better plus base form, and I highly recommend, or I advise you plus full infinitive. Now you will definitely need useful expressions for the opening. For example, you can say, it is often stated that, needless to say that, many people claim that, or it goes without saying that. To express your opinion, you can use I firmly believe, I have no doubt that, I'm convinced that, to my mind, I dare say that. To cite examples, you can say a good example of this is, such as, or for instance. And for the conclusion, you can use expressions like by and large, we can say that, overall, to conclude, it is thus obvious that. Now I think you are ready to write your first draft. And once you are ready with it, you can exchange with your classmate for proofreading and ask your teacher for feedback. Thank you so much for watching this lesson. Stay safe and good luck.